Hello everyone. This is first time I've ever done a video response. Maybe I'll need to do more of them. I do apologize for not getting to comments and things. So if you've left a comment, it's not I'm trying to ignore anybody. I'm just got other things I have to take care of first. This one was actually thanking me for my Scribus one, which I do appreciate. But the individual said that they had a little bit of issues with pardon me, with photos and how to deal with images inside of Scribus. So today's just going to be one to basically just show a little bit about images. Again, if I didn't reiterate it, when you go to do a Scribus layout, I would put all the text, images, whatever assets you're going to use into a folder. If they're images, put a copy of the images in there. Do not use the originals in there if you can help it. Because if you do pass it off to an external editor, which we in Linux we probably GIMP, or in Windows it might be Photoshop, Photoshop Elements, whatever you tend to use, or even GIMP. Matter of fact, if you tell it to do something and then you say, okay, overwrite that particular photo so it will pass over to Scribus, you have just ruined your original image, and that may not make you or your client happy. So always, kind of be on the side of paranoid, and pardon me, and get a copy of it in your assets folder. And if you're really paranoid, make another copy of it, put it in a folder called originals or something, and that way you always have a backup you can revert to. Alright, with that little disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and get an image in here and let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to click on this button here. It says insert an image frame. I'm not going to really lay anything out. Like I said, this is just going to be kind of a quick one, just to kind of get the basics of image, getting images into Scribus and everything else. The first thing is, if you notice, I got two dockers open. Not only did I drag my frame in. This one's your properties docker. Whoops, I double clicked it and I shouldn't have. There we go. I need to quit double clicking so fast. And if you notice, it says image up here. Mine says image 2 because I was running a previous demo and something occurred and I had to kind of stop it and try this again. Anyways, sorry for that little break there. I thought I heard something, but yep, there it is. If you hear the dog barking in the background, I don't know what her issue is. She's thinking she's protecting me from the big bad squirrels of the neighborhood, I guess. But in this one, you can label if you got multiple images you're going to be laying out. It'd be a good idea to name this other than image 2. I'll just put demo image. Whoops, as soon as I learn how to type again. Jeez Louise, I hate my keyboard. Alright. And of course, just like I described in the other video, this is its position as far as in its rulers. This is its width and height. Currently, now if you want to change this for any reason, now remember what I said about this. This is representative of your box. So this is the upper left corner, that's reference, the lower right corner reference, lower right corner, I'm sorry, lower left, upper right, and then the center. Well, from this I just want to use the upper left, and I'm going to make this exactly 3 by 2. So I'm going to type 3 here, just kind of click in the next box. Whoops. Put in 2. And just kind of tab and it will put it in there. Now if you wanted to keep the aspect ratio of what you've drawn, you can always click these little chains there and it will keep the aspect ratio. Now just like with any other object, any other box or object or anything else, you can use the Align and Distribute panel. That's what I got open here. And both of these, by the way, can be opened in the Windows menu. There's the Properties one and there's Align and Distribute. So I set this to margins, and that means I can set this to left edge and upper part of my margin, which now the starting of the edge of that box is now 1/2 an inch down and 1/2 an inch over, if that's what you need. And again, you can always position it this way, because see, you can look up here, it's 1/2 an inch and 1/2 an inch. You can always move it. But let's go ahead and get an image in here. The two easiest ways to do is to right click, say get image. You can use the keyboard shortcut right there, or you can just double click on it. And I got an image right here I'm going to import in. And notice this thing is just freaking huge. Now, two ways you can deal with this. One is you can scale it down beforehand. You know the size of the box by looking over at a properties doc. You can just say, okay, I'm going to go out real quick, get this image to 3 inches by 2 inches, and bring it back in and be done. Or you can let the program do it for you, or you can choose a custom scaling, and that's where we're going to go. Also, a word about scaling your raster images, your JPEGs, and things like that. Unless you bring in a super high resolution image, you're not going to really be able to upscale it more than about 10% without really hurting yourself. You try to scale down, but be careful when you scale down too, because an image you bring in, we'll say at 300, by the time you scale it down, you could be at 600-800 up to 1,000 DPI. And if you're having a problem printing that, printing your document, and you wonder why is my printer taking so long to get started? That's because it's got to do something with that 1,000 DPI image. So just be careful with that. So just kind of words of warning before we get going. Now, let's go ahead and deal with this image here. As we see, it's way too big. Now, the first thing we can try to do is maybe I'll just want a section of it. See, if I put my cursor over now, I get a hand. But if I click and hold and move, it's moving my box, which is not what I want. I want to move the photo inside. So we can either undo that, but I'm just going to click on the little line distribute, put it back where it was. If you double click on the image, or you click this icon here with a little A in it, either one, now I can grab the image inside and move it around. Okay, so I can say, like, if I want to just go to the top of this lighthouse here, I can just click right there, and that might be what I want. Depends on what you're laying out. However, if this is not what you want and you want it to scale down, there's a couple ways we can do it. So let's go down to in the properties docker here, you go all the way down here to image. You click on that. Okay, now you got this option here, which is free scaling, and you got scale to frame size. Now, if you want Scribus to try to fit your photo into the existing frame that you've drawn, you can click that scale to frame size, and look, it just automatically figured it out. It says, okay, I need to shrink it to this size. Boom, it fits in there. And you can leave this proportional, or you can say unproportional. It depends on your sizing. I just happen to draw this exactly to something it scaled down to. You can either scale it up or scale it down. But say like in the example when I did my background, it didn't quite work. Okay, then what I would do is I'd have to do something different. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, just edit, undo image scaling. Here we go. Till we get back to this. If you go into here, you can see that it says X scale and Y scale. Okay, you can also do positioning, but it's more intuitive for me just to click here or double click inside this frame and just move the hand around to try to figure out where I need to place that image. Now, if you go to your scale here, if we click on I always try to click on these little chains here to try to make it proportional. You can do it unproportionally if that's what you want to do, but then you're going to risk stretching your image one way or the other, make it look optically wrong. So, if we click up, notice how this gets bigger. It's almost like we're zooming in. I'm going to go to 120% here. And, my DPI is still around 250. That's not too horrible. I can probably get away with that in some print situations. And that's, again, where DPI is going to count. Most people want 300 or higher DPI if you're going to take this to print. If it's going to be for like a web brochure, because you're going to do a PDF or something like that, then if it's for screen, I wouldn't go any lower than 96. 72 is acceptable, but anything past 72, you're definitely going to have some image issues. So be careful of that. But in this case, I don't want to go up, I want to go down. Now, if you know the exact percent you want, you can type it in here. But since I don't, I'm just going to hold down on that little triangle there. And as you notice, my image gets smaller. So like I don't want to fit it all in there. I just want to fit most of the lighthouse in there. We'll just keep bringing this down. And notice how I bring it down. Look at the DPI section going up, because it's taking those pixels and actually compressing them into a smaller area. And because of that, it has to do something with them. we'll just say that that's okay for now. Again, you can always change this later. So right here with this, and again, you could go to the image effects if you want and everything else. Now, like I was saying before, if you wanted to, you can also change the image. Now, if you go to your image effects, we'll just go there real quick. And you see, we only got just a small amount of things that you can do to this image, which may be okay. However, if you want to do something more complex, you may need to use it through an external editor. And we'll just say cancel to this. And if you right click, you can say edit image. Now, if you click this and you get a warning it can't find GIMP or it can't find whatever it is it's trying to default to, you may need to change your preference. That's under File, Preferences. Scroll down here. External Tools, and Name of Executable. You just say change, and what you can do here, you can change your resolution. I'm going to kick this up on mine. Keep it a little bit higher. I'm just going to say 300. Just type it in here. Just say apply. But you want to go find where your executable lives. Now, in different places, and depends on your operating system, will depend on where this sits. I'm using GIMP, and I'm using looks like a 32-bit version of GIMP instead of the 64, and that's where you get the x86 from. I'm pointing to that version of GIMP. So if I was to right click on here and say edit image, it says the program is missing, so I must have went to the 64-bit version. So let's go ahead and change that. Now I'll show you how I dig for it. So we'll go down here, and if this is blurry, it's because I'm doing this on my main profile, not the other one. So change. Okay, it's doing GhostScript for some weird reason. So let's go to Windows C. 64-bit version. Let's go down to GIMP 2. It will be in your bin folder. GIMP 2.8. There it is. Apply and OK. Now if we right click and do edit image, program GIMP is missing. It's making a liar out of me today, ain't it, folks? Normally that would work. Let me go check it real quick. Again, I'll be blurring that out, so just disregard that. That is GIMP. Alright. Okay. Huh. That is weird. Normally when you do that, it'll pass through and you could do a back and forth, but I don't know why it's not playing too nice today. For some reason that binding is broke. It might be because I did put in a development version of Scribus and it might have broke something, but I'm not sure. Anyways, you're supposed to be able to go in here and you're supposed to be able to... Whoop, I'm just looking here just to see if something is here, but it's not. It's not wanting me to play very nice with the image. It's not wanting to edit it for some reason. Even though I can go right down here and say GIMP. And there it is. Now my GIMP's going to flag an error because I'm using GIMP tools for Windows, and the individual who compiled this basically compiled the movie part of it wrong, and because he did, it's causing GIMP to flag an error because it can't find an executable when it was compiled. So I haven't gone through and tried to fix this yet. I just kind of let it roll and just kind of say, right here, well, that's a new error. It's telling me I can't even start up GIMP now. It's interesting. Anyways, we'll go ahead and minimize that and get back to here. But it's supposed to work that way. Now the thing is too, you can also go in with the photo because it does not embed the images into your document. It links to them. If you use an external editor against that image, which I will try to do if my GIMP will start. And it looks like it finally did. Thank goodness. Let's see here. Let's see, we will do. And again, if you can't see this again, I'm just kind of blurring it out because I do have some kind of stuff on the desktop that don't need to be seen. But now we got this. We'll say like we'll do something here that's going to make a big change in it. Oh, what can we do real quick? We can do that. We can do. Let's do Technicolor. And it's asking for this. Let's just go ahead and run it with defaults. Let this finish up. Alright, there's a pretty, substantial difference. I mean, that the lighthouse looks a little bit more gray and everything else. But let's say if I go here and I say overwrite this, it is going to ask you before doing it. So this is your last chance. If you're using your original, to stop, try it again, or otherwise you might wipe out your original. I'll say export this. Now I'll go back over to here. And what we're going to do is see, just clicking on it or even right clicking it and saying update image, you see how even though my GIMP didn't start correctly for some reason, it updated the image because it is linked to the one that we have just adjusted. And if we go back and adjust it again, we'll do something else real quick. This is not a pass off tutorial, but this will be just something that you can kind of see. We're just going to say, whoop. Let me flatten this image real quick. I'm hitting the wrong layer when I'm doing this. Just do desaturate. That's a pretty nice one. We'll go with that. And again, I'm gonna overwrite that one that we're looking at. Now this time, remember, it didn't give a warning because it thinks it knows what you want. So just be careful of that. We go over here and see, boom, it updated my image. So now instead of being that color one, it's now black and white. Now if you go and drag these handles, see, you're just going to make the frame larger or smaller. You're not going to change the size of the image. Again, if you want to try to make the size of the image fit, you can again scale it here, or you can say scale to image size. You can say not proportional, and it will stretch to fit the frame size exactly. As you saw, it kind of popped out. So hopefully this little tip here, or tidbit, or video response, whatever you guys like to call it, will kind of give you guys an insight onto how to better manipulate your images inside of Scribus. Now hopefully you won't have the problem like I got where my GIMP would not start or it said it was missing. So hopefully you guys won't have that problem. Alright folks, like I said, hopefully this will help you guys out with Scribus, and on the next coming weeks I will I try to keep going with software that is kind of where everybody can kind of play along. Download Scribus, GIMP, Inkscape stuff. I'm still going to be doing that, but I'm also going to be starting to touch on some other ones that you can get like home versions of, like for example Photoshop Elements. I might start touching on some of that, and also CorelDRAW. Even though I got the Big Brother version, but you can probably still get the home and student version, which will you can play along with for the most part, because I'm not going to do any like color profiles for like output printing and things. I'm just going to do some basic things where any home user or any advanced user can kind of just drop it in and go. So look forward to those in the next days to weeks whenever I get a chance, and you guys have a good one. Well folks, I'm back again real quick, and I kind of scratched my head after I ended the recording of the video here, and I kind of was wondering why in the heck GIMP didn't work. Well, I kind of looked at my preferences again, and I've already reset mine, and I'll show you how to do that. Go to Preferences, scroll down on here, External Tools. I was up here at the PostScript Interpreter, which basically, lets you write out things like PDFs and things like that. And I didn't look down where it says image processing tool like a moron. And it says GIMP. That's where you need to change your thing to where your GIMP lives, which in my case is in the 64-bit folder inside the bin folder. 2.8, say apply, and then OK. Alright, now, oops, I did want to change my DPI on that real quick. I forgot about that. Since I did totally do a reset, my resolution is not going to be 72 because I like to go natively to at least 300. Apply. Okay. Now, if we was to sit there and right click on this and say edit image, now GIMP comes up. And again, mine's going to have a little bit of an error. Hopefully not the startup error like you saw in my demo. Hopefully I won't see that again. Hopefully I'll see pretty much, it can't find an executable, which is used for the movie, if you're going to use GIMP to try to edit movies. On Windows you get the error. Now on my Linux box I don't have it. So let's see, we'll just see if this comes up real nice here. Give it a couple seconds, folks. Yeah, this is a little amendment. Nope, I must have removed that part. But see, now it now works. And then of course if you do your changes to it, let's colorize this. Oh yeah, that's just gorgeous. Let's do something like that. Just say OK. File, overwrite. And of course, because I am doing this for the first time again because I screwed up, do an export. Okay, once that progress bar down here is done, minimize this, go back to here. And as you saw, because it's linked, it's sharing the same file basically, it updates. So there you go, folks. That's what I was doing wrong. You probably were screaming at the screen, "You dummy! Wrong section, wrong section." Well, just goes to show that, I screw up like everybody else. Alright, folks. Hopefully that will fix the problem.